the bowels of One Half Radio Plaza at Life Media Studios.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to Real Country Radio.
Congratulations, Detroit. You can be thoroughly ashamed of yourself. The homicide tool has reached a nice even 750. Details on the latest leveling from Police Sergeant.
Coming up now, we're going to start off the set with...
In the morning.
The Hitler's Tigers could use this guy's talent.
Have you had time to get ready?
I don't waste any time getting ready. I stay ready.
Good evening and welcome to another Sidetrack. We're a couple minutes late. Apologies for that. We were chatting in the green room, and also now was the time that Ryan's laptop decided it would be a good time to do an update. So,
yay! Technology is awesome.
Great thing.
Cody Vanderholm will be joining us at some point. He is in Las Vegas for NHRA this weekend. But our guest is Mr. Cody Fisher from 1X Precision, an excellent master fabricator. We've been talking about doing something like this back last summer. We first talked about it, so we finally have made it happen.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. Looking forward to it. I love chatting with you guys, and we all share a pretty common interest in motorsports and everything as a whole, racing, pulling, all that kind of stuff. And I love just chatting about it. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, it consumes 98% of my life. So, I love chatting about it and getting to know you guys. I mean, it's, I know me and Charles, we've had a bunch of conversation stuff. Me and Adam, we have chatted back and forth throughout the years, and
mostly
Ryan,
photos.
Yeah. I think me and Ryan maybe have chatted in the past. I can't 100% remember. But
I don't know.
Obviously
you helped build a dragster that shot a hat clean off my head when he was setting a record.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. I wish he was here. I wish I could fly him down. That's. But yeah, no, it's been fun. So it's good. I'm glad you got to experience that in its entirety. It's a little bit of a different animal compared to what I've been used to in the past. So I've enjoyed every ounce of being a part of that.
You're living quite the nomadic life right now. It's almost like I can play a game with you. Where in the world is Cody Fisher?
I know.
You said you haven't been home in like a month. Yeah,
it's back and forth between racing and then with everything on my end as far as the business stuff goes. I try to help some guys out. Unfortunately, for instance, I'm down at Jared Ring's place and in Texas, and just logistically wise, it's so hard to get some of these cars place to place. For me to work on them in the shop. And a lot of these guys, man, they're just like us. They got well set up shops and stuff. So come down here, eat some good food in Texas, and build some cool stuff. Like that's, and it builds relationship. I mean, you meet people from all walks of life. The more you travel, and the more you're around. So I enjoy it. While I love being home, it's also a blessing in disguise. So I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
You are you've become a master of what I'll call the teaser video. And I don't know if you did it at Jared's place or if you had both of his race cars at your shop showing, the exhaust. I think it was kind of promo and frosty, which everybody knew that, but no one knew about the Cadillac yet. But it was in the background, and I kept winding it and going, "What is that?"
Yeah, and some of that, honestly, as much as I do like that little teaser bit, I try to. It's always kind of different per project or whatever it is, simply because some people don't want it out and some people do. So throw a little bit of hint in there. I mean, just to keep it keeps the momentum going, I guess, if that's a good way to say that. Just everybody interested into it. And I mean, on the flip side of it too, I get to been blessed to be able to work on some awesome race cars and help some of these guys with these new programs since the diesel drag racing in particular. While it's before my time, and I got to watch the Sam Smiths, the Levon, and all those guys start kind of that put that foot in the door to get everything going, and then now where it's came and where we're racing, the level we're racing at, I mean, it's insane. It's still got a ton of room to grow, but at the same time, it's awesome. So I just like to give a little bit of teaser, and then when the project is out and running, usually I post about it and whatnot. social media has been a little bit, I haven't taken a back seat to it by any standard, but just haven't been posting as much, just focusing on the work and on the grind. I mean, honestly, that's really is what it came down to. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of that for the most part, but yeah, it's fun. Sure.
It's worked out pretty well for you. You're in a lot of senses, you're kind of living the dream. You've taken a skill set and have elevated it very high. Those of you who are not familiar with Cody's work, you definitely know the vehicles that his work has been in, both on the drag strip and the sled pulling track, because you're not just a drag racer. You've got a history in pulling as well, which was
for sure.
You're one of, if not probably the best welders out there, at least in this game anyway, that I've seen the work of, and it stands up, and you're obviously in very high demand.
Yeah, well, I greatly appreciate those words. It's something that you hear and you try to be like, oh, no and whatnot, but no, I generally I greatly appreciate the words. I mean, it consumes. I mean, like I said 98%, but in reality, I mean, man, it consumes everything, and it's one of the skills that I didn't go to school for any of it. A lot of it's self-taught. I mean, I had some really great kind of people that I worked around and kind of just was a sponge to them and kind of soaked in some stuff. But man, what you put into it is what you get out. I tell everybody that. I mean, I know some fabricators that they're natural born at it. They just the way they figure stuff out and whatnot. And while I have some of that, and I've definitely gotten better over time with it, it's still something like you have to put hours into it. And I try to tell everybody that. It's just like anything. The more time you put in, the better you're going to be. Everybody has it. It just shows. It shows every day. You can't slack on it. You have to stay up. You have to practice. Like, people are like, oh, you probably don't practice anymore, or whichever the case may be. And it's like, and I know Adam can definitely attest to me on this. I look at Adam's, aluminum work, and it shocks me. I'm just like, oh, I want to be able to weld aluminum like that. Practice at it a bunch. I mean, I sat down and just weld a bunch of butt joints or laps or whatever, whatever I may be, tubes. And it's just, it's always that push for better, because it's something you can never perfect. No matter, I can be called a perfectionist. Some people, I throw that word around kind of loosely, and that's why I love it. I mean, it's always going to show you imperfections and just let you get better. I mean, and it pertains to so many different aspects of your life, and I love it. So I really wouldn't trade it for the world. And I love horsepower. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think that's about why all of us are into it for the most part. I mean, so. Yeah, that's it's about where I stand on some of that, but yeah, for sure.
I always, when I teach and do some other things, I always tell the kids, the one thing you can't do is teach experience.
Yeah.
You have to put your hood down and practice, because every scenario is different. And like you said, being a sponge off of a bunch of older guys, that's exactly what I did. I mean, you just go there with the old timers and just everything they say, it's, they might tell you to do it this way or tell you to do it this way, but it's because they have experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I'm on a podcast real quick.
that's a big thing.
Sorry,
I
guys.
mean, experience. All these kids want to come into the game. They want to be at the top right away, but everybody starts at the bottom and has to work their way up,
Yeah, and I think, man, you like you said it word for word. I mean, perfectly. I mean, the thought of being able just to be perfect at it right away. It's like, oh, I suck, or it's like, man, like if you put, I mean, just you got to put the time into it. And got to put some, just you have to put time into it, and be honest with yourself. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, this is good enough, or this is good enough, like material prep and all that kind of stuff. Like, man, being a welder's, I wouldn't say, I'd say it's probably 50-50. I mean, maybe even less than that, because, you can't clean and, people throw, it's like, oh, you got to be a good grind. If you're a good grinder, you're, crappy welder. But in reality, you have to be a great grinder and fabricator before you really can become a good good welder. And truth be told, I learned that a little bit the hard way. Still learning it. I know guys that can fit and fabricate, to be honest, better than, obviously, there's tons of people that are better. I've tried to kind of take that and be like, all right, well, all your steps leading up to the final product need to be just as good as that final step of welding. And I think that it speaks volumes to that. And I think, for any, for the young ones and stuff listening that want to get into it, again, just the time and dedication, you have to love it too. Just like anything, if you're trying to do something you don't love, then that's that answers that. So, but yeah, that's really cool. I didn't realize you taught a bunch, but it's awesome.
One of the things I like too, now there's a lot of different tools out there that we can use, in like those cut jigs that they make, those plastic cut jigs. They make. They didn't make none of that crap when I was a kid, man. I had the roll around tape that I'm scribing and grinding back to, and all that stuff.
Does he sound like he's like 74 years old now? Do you have a porch to sit on?
I'm telling you, like within the last probably 8 to 10 years, there has been so many different tools that have came out, and a lot of it's due to, you can call it technology advances, whatever, but there's, like pipe welding right now is huge because there's so many different, there's all these different jigs and fixtures, and like even just the portaband setups and stuff like that.
The jig rack that used to, well, it still does exist when I worked at HSP Diesel for all the various things that they make. It looks like a science fair project gone wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I can definitely speak to the tool side of it. A little bit of a tool addiction for sure. And but man, you look at some of these tools and what's came out, and what all this modern machining and CNCs, and being able to make precise cutting tools and all that kind of stuff. Man, it in the long run, and I've noticed it a bunch when I travel. Having my tools in my shop I use every day that I'm so familiar with, and I have every iteration of sizes for jigs and whatnot. I go on the road, and it's definitely made me a better fabricator on that side, because I don't have some of those shortcuts and whatnot. And it's like, hey, you have a 6-inch or a 4-inch or 6-inch belt sander, low grit or high grit, and or whatever, jigs or band saws and all that kind of stuff. I've dealt with about every iteration of saw that you can imagine, and once you find a rhythm and find the right tool, it's hard to switch around sometimes because there's so many variations. And that's the tool thing is, while in one sense it's a massive and it's a massively great thing for the industry. Being able to cut tube with not a solid, whatever you want to use, portaband or any of that stuff. That's stuff I still use today. But getting kind of like those fundamentals and just basics of fabricating down, it really lets your mind kind of, develop more as far as, being able to kind of make fixtures and jigs and all this kind of stuff. 100%. It is a little bit of a cheat code. It's definitely made some of that stuff a lot easier than it has been in the past for me, for sure.
Absolutely. Same here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Definitely good to utilize.
Yeah,
well, one's a bit about efficiency, because at the end of the day, like this is how you make your living, and standing around in front of a bandsaw farting with a piece of tube for 20 minutes is 20 minutes you're not getting back, and you really can't add to the bill at the end. You need to find that efficiency.
Yeah, and I have learned that it's funny you mentioned that. I have learned that it's always been on my radar, and it's always been a thing, especially working for shops in the past. Like, you just need to be efficient with your time and whatnot. And then now being on I'll admit it. I'm not the fastest fabricator. Like, I know some guys, it's whack, 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 and done, welded, and it's done. You're like, how did you do that fast? And I wouldn't say I like to lollygag or mess around, definitely not, but just being like really particular with how things fit, or if it's a half a degree off, or especially when you're making some of these parts for some of these cars and trucks and tractors and stuff. I mean, man, I mean, you guys are aware of how much money these projects cost, and you want to give, especially when it's handmade. It's hard to, I guess, replicate what a CNC machine can do with a weld. Like, it adds a different dynamic to it, but at the same time, like, you really have to, like, watching your time. And those tools, man, I mean, some of them, I mean, they speed that up so much. And when you don't have them, and when you're on the road, that adds a whole nother, I guess, mess in my head, I guess, is the best way to say that sometimes. But, just, again, push through, and, that's what your brain's made for. I mean, if you have to be able to think on the spot, like, oh, hey, I broke my last saw blade that I have. Like, how am I going to notch this, or how am I going to merge these two tubes together? That's just kind of the nature of it, and being able to work through those problems. You got to be a problem solver for sure.
Yeah. Well, even just like with the tungsten grinders, you got a portable tungsten grinder right next to you now. You just pick it up, grind it, go back.
Exactly.
Super. You're not walking across the shop to the big grinder.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, like,
but it saves so much time.
Yeah, I mean, purge plugs. I mean, man, and like chill blocks and a bunch of that stuff. I use that stuff, I mean, daily. I mean, I literally was using it about 30 minutes ago. And, it's stuff like that it's just, you're not using tinfoil to wrap around a tube and tape. And, I mean, man, when you're doing like, like when I built some of these headers and stuff, some of these long tube deals and whatnot, I mean, you're going back and forth, and I mean, you have, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 welds in some of these things. I mean, honestly, usually more. And you're just like, oh, I mean, that adds up so much, and come to the end of it, and you're like, oh my Lord, like, I can't charge somebody that for this. And, but in the end, you can, it is, that is something you have to tell yourself. But it's some of those things, man, I mean, they really, really help that efficiency. And in the end, honestly, it really just helps have a better end product, because, unfortunately, at the end of the day, that's all that really, matters to the outside world, or, I mean, even to me. I mean, in some cases, because, you can get down, you can do 99 steps right, and the last one you do wrong, and, you have 4 days into something, and it's not really worth much.
No, you're right on. Some of the new stuff I see coming out all the time. There, some companies making these blocks that serve as both a heat sink, but also a purge gas distribution for making exhaust manifolds. And the pattern's already in it for whatever, big block Chevy, whatever it is. And it's like, man, somebody had their thinking brain on. Yeah. Came up with that
for sure. Yeah. And it's kind of funny you mentioned that. Like, I have some for big block stuff for doing headers and just about anything. But when you get to the diesel stuff,
no one's got it yet. That's a free business tip, by the way, right there.
Oh no, trust me. That's kind of why I was bringing that up. But yeah, no, there's a lot of that stuff kind of in the works. I mean, because it's stuff that's it's tools that, I mean, there's so many more people in the industry that you're not. Honestly, we're not even all aware of that do the same stuff. Some bringing a lot of that stuff to market's kind of, that's definitely on my radar at the moment. So, it's really cool what the world has really just came around and designed for all this stuff. I mean, it's awesome. So
I think, like, you, especially to me, I mean, you kind of have that wow factor. I mean, we look at some of your stuff and I'm like, what in the hell? I lift my hood up. I'm like, yeah, that's sweet. And then, like, I'll go on Facebook or whatever the next day. I'm like, yeah, I ain't got shit on this dude. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. I mean, I do the same with, a bunch of the stuff that you make. And I mean, everybody, I think that's kind of, it's a little, guess what's the best way to word that? Everybody
you're has a master of your craft.
Like, yeah, exactly.
You've got the stainless thing just freaking figured out, and a lot of it comes to your attention to detail and your fit up, because stainless itself has to be so tight. I mean, where aluminum,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more forgiving. You can kind of,
Yeah, for sure.
you're
gotta
laying
mess
a
around
lot
with it.
larger weld. Where that
For sure.
stainless, you're putting a really nice bead around that,
Yeah.
and you're back purging it and all that stuff. And
Mhm.
it's like I said, you got that stainless
It's-
thing just figured out.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see just the
Yeah.
progression of what you were doing, at the other shop and up
Yeah,
to now
for sure.
is just absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's also kind of some of the hidden beauty in it too. You get to look. That was kind of always my thing. I always see these. I always saw this cookie cutter platform style of parts, and I have zero problem with that. Some people are like, oh, he hates production and all that kind of stuff. And in the past, I've definitely had my fair share of I put up my walls against some of that stuff, simply because man, if I look at kind of put myself in some of those people's shoes and be like, man, if I'm gonna spend all this money on a turbo kit or whatever it is, like, man, I don't want it to be like everybody else's. And you can make just small, minute changes, man. I mean, it gives each kit its own kind of like little wow factor or pop. But yeah, I mean, some of these headers and stuff, I mean, I'll be 100% honest. I mean, you walk into some of this and I'm just like, yeah, we can do that. How exactly? I'm not 100% sure, but we'll figure it out. And I mean, is that the best way to walk into that? I mean, I guess for some back to that, there's a lot of, I mean, I'm a big note person, and just like if I have something on my mind, I draw it down. I mean, man, I have, I wouldn't say hundreds of notebooks, of full notebooks of notes and drawings and just stuff that, and a lot of it's not even really precise stuff. I mean, a lot of it is too, but it keeps my mind just kind of going because, I have to. I mean, it's like, man, I get to one spot in some of these projects, like the one that I'm working on now right here. I mean, it's something I've never done. I mean, it's just a different iteration, and you're just like, man, how do I do that? So there's pros and cons. So yeah, like that one, that for instance,
that makes my head hurt.
It
That
does.
makes my head hurt.
So some backstory to this one, I guess, just because it brings back so many good memories. A lot of sleepless nights and whatnot. But man, this was one of the first ones that I ever did from start to finish, and it was like, hey, we want to put a 5 1/4 Weimer as a single on a 6.7 bass Cummins, and it's like, well, so like if you can see the truck in the back, that's obviously that's the OG Pro Street truck, as I call it.
Scruggs owned it, right?
Yeah, this is when Scruggs owned it after Levant had sold it to him, and you can kind of see how far back that engine is, and it was always a problem. The truck, for majority of its life, had a set of triples on it, so obviously the triples kind of pushed farther out. But with that big single, I mean, man, we had to run, you're running 6-inch exhaust, 4-inch charge side. And, we're like, man, where are we going to put it? And then back and forth with some of this stuff, like, oh, you can build a little hot section just off of, the existing manifold and all that stuff. I'm like, no, like, just build a header for it. And, kind of said that. And I was like, oh, like that's a little of an undertaking. And like, I had a lot of hours in this, and my process from this point, I mean, I haven't looked at this picture in a long time, but my processes now from then, I mean, they've changed so much. And like, I think I had 40 hours in this, probably 45 hours. Is that Tony? Oh, look at that. I love Tony. He's such a good guy.
I do have one question. How many times?
There's the real man.
Yeah.
How many times did you have to cut something apart because you figured out you couldn't weld behind it?
More than once. I mean, that's in this, man. I mean, I know. I think
freaking unbelievable.
I think I had like tacked the first 3 runners in this all together, and hadn't finish welded any of the main like chunks of the tubes, and I was like, and I welded. I was so scared of busting some of the tacks off, either at the collector or at the header flange, and So I just welded them with them all so close to each other, and man, I mean, it was a pain to weld. I mean, it was still.
I don't think you could even do that before, because I mean now we have those big wide cups that you can really get a nice long tungsten on there and stuff like that and get nice gas coverage. They didn't make any of that stuff, you know, all them years ago. So that's another one of the things that helps us out tremendously.
For sure. And a lot of the stuff like that I had used on this, I mean, you know, we had some bigger cups and stuff that that were out at this time. Some of the I think I was using a bunch of Furic stuff at the time. Okay. Still love Furic stuff, but like all the back purging processes and just purge flange and just all that knowledge that I've soaked since that point, man. I mean, it has been. I mean, you know, it's a whirlwind of difference. I look at some of the ones I've done now, and I'm like, oh man, like, you know, we were scared of using thin wall, 065 tube on this, and you made it out of schedule, and you know, you're looking back and you're like, I wouldn't do that again. And you know, there's variations in every, you know, between a tractor or a truck or a alcohol car or any of those. And you know, so this was kind of the beginning. And you know, we did get to run it some. It was definitely she was a little lazy, for sure. I mean, some of that was turbo size related, but, you know, we had some other problems and whatnot. But, you know, the truck showed a ton of potential with it. And we had some engine problems with that. And, you know, just kind of that was kind of the end of that old girl. So
with the difficulty you mentioned, like about being able to weld, particularly at the merge, get to the back side of the tubing. Is there anybody, and is it a thought in your mind, like some of the import guys are starting to do this now with additive machining, where they're 3D printing this stuff, and then you know, is anybody doing a 6-into-1 T6 merge connector?
Yes, there is a couple companies. There's one in particular out of Finland that has that I've been working with back and forth on some of these that are you know, out now. I guess you know, it's not like it wasn't like I found them or anything like that. But you know, it was a company that I just on a whim found them, and man, they've been by far or bar none. I mean, extremely helpful and extremely friendly. You know, I have to call them when I'm in Ohio. I have to call them at 7 p.m. to catch them at 8 a.m. I think it's something like that. Really good guys, fun to talk to. But yeah, and you know, those are built. You know, those are billet, you know, CNC collectors that these guys have been making, and you know, in a bunch of different variations. And you know, that in itself has been a big improvement over what we had in the past from having. Because man, you do you hand fit a 6-to-1 collector like that one on Scruggs' truck. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, it rattled my. I don't even know how much time I had in that in itself. So yeah, I mean, you know, the 6-to-1 stuff though, that stuff's still pretty hard to find. If you're just, you know, trying to look for it to get the stuff.
But and this one's different again on Cordova's car, because now you're not going to a T6, it's to a V band. And this is an old photo, I can tell, because it's got the wrong cylinder head and only one gate.
Yeah, this was a Bowling Green last year at the beginning of the year. You know, I think I'm pretty sure Michael will probably laugh at this, but you know, I could spend probably about a day just explaining. I mean, you know, me and Michael Michael's been a big mentor, you know, / best friend that you know, that we became, you know, over the last I would say 2-ish years or so, something like that. I mean, Michael was always somebody I looked up to. I mean, Michael's been in the game, and he, you know, in the game longer than, I mean, you know, about anybody that I know that still as active as he is in it. And man, he's a straight killer. I love Michael. I mean, you know, he's so yeah, this was a project that me and him kind of put our heads together and put together, and you know, it's still on the car today. We added you know, we had added some new upgrades throughout the winter, put a billet cylinder head on it. And added a gate and some other stuff like that. Small changes, but enough to make it a little bit of a bear at the track in Florida last week. So, but you know, still luckily pulled out a W. So, but yeah, no, it's she's gonna fly this year. I mean, last year was awesome with it. You know, we had some problems, you know, kind of start the year out, but kind of worked through those, and yeah, I mean, ended the season on, I mean, just a fantastic note. I mean, couldn't really ask for much more, and still the quickest diesel in the world at the moment. So yeah, it's awesome.
When I mentioned killer fabricators and guys in the game, I mean, Michael's another one of those guys who I had in my head in that conversation. But the thing I think I like most about this header design is that it is now so loud that it blows out Dawson's video cam mic, and you're easily the loudest diesel on the property.
For sure.
And well, it might be a toss-up between you guys and Rick Fox's truck. I don't know why that damn thing is so loud.
It's loud. I know, for full exhaust. One of those things is just you don't really know. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. That was a tee up. Go for it.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those underlying things that these headers. There's been so much controversy revolving them in diesel motorsports in general. I mean, from tractors and pulling trucks and all this stuff. I mean, they don't work at all. They don't drive the turbine hard enough. Too much heat loss. Every
crack.
Every excuse you can think of. Or not excuse, or just problem, or whatever you want to say. And they've just been working so good, and they have every single one that I've done has such a proprietary exhaust note and sound to it. I mean, it is awesome. Like hearing Michael's car go down the track, I mean, it's music to my ears, and it's ignorantly loud. I mean, I can't hear anything when I'm standing behind it. And then on another iteration, you look at like Jared's Cadillac. I mean, that thing, I mean, it sounds wonderful. The shorty, Frosty, the little regular cab short bed truck, it's got its own note. And that's what's cool. I mean, it comes back to that, is it by the book 100%? I mean, no. But in the same sentence, I don't know if there really is a book to all this stuff. I mean, a lot of this is kind of paving new, call it new ways, call it whichever. I mean, you can take it's really hard to compare a Proline Hemi V8 with a screw on it or on alcohol. I mean, those variations in engine platforms are so different. The RPMs they can swing, fuels they run, how hot the fuel burns. I mean, just it's such a it's a rabbit hole of stuff. But I think to kind of get back on topic, I mean that's it comes back to the point of giving each project their own proprietary sound, or just feeling to it. I mean, they're all just a little bit different. Why they and why they all might be a header. I mean, they're all going to have their own little, differences in them. And that's, that's the cool, I think that's part of that cool factor that we all kind of look for. Is it outside the box and, right or wrong? I love it. And I mean, and as of right now, I mean, man, the header theory, I think is probably safe to say kind of smashed.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these cars that have them on it, I mean, they're coming, they're up on the limiter. I mean, faster than 90% of them that have just normal, Cummins style manifolds on them, or, Duramaxes or whatever they are. So yeah, it's been really cool to see that, with Chase Fleece, as a prime example. I mean, me and him have talked back and forth, and Chase has been, great friend, and just a wealth of knowledge, obviously, with what he does. And, we talk back and forth of dynoing, X platform to X platform and stuff. So we're going to get together this winter, and, we have a whole new, agenda as far as stuff that we want to test. So, it's good to have a team that's, just invested and just keep on growing the sport and the diesel drag racing as a whole. And that's what we're all kind of doing. That's why we're doing it. So, did
you do the header that was in Rod's Corvette?
No, I did not. That was Andrew Tavornik and those boys down at Midgets. And there was some. I mean, we had some parts and stuff that we had sold them and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, a little bit different design. But again,
it sounded demonic.
Exactly. I mean, that's a prime example of that. And it's got a longer stage section, between a collector and the between the exhaust housing. So is that where that's from? I'm pretty positive in that, but man, it works wonderful. I mean, I can't wait to see Rod's car. I was actually talking to Rod this weekend, and they're excited to get the car back out. So I'm excited. That thing's going to be a killer, man. It's it's got a great team behind it, and great parts in it, and it's going to be another one in the equation to push the industry forward. So
I would love to hear. I'd love to hear equal length headers on a Duramax, particularly in a twin turbo setup. I think that would just be sonic amazement.
For sure. And that's where I have a couple people that we've been kind of talking and working with as far as doing some on a couple cars and different variations of Duramax platforms. So there's going to be some stuff coming for sure on some of that stuff, which will be really cool to kind of see how it reacts on different platforms. So I'm really excited to see some of that. So it'll be cool to see for sure.
Cody, sorry to be late.
Yeah.
Vegas traffic was a little hairy.
No,
but I'm in Vegas tonight.
You're good, man.
My question would be, how much of it is like your thought process versus input from the owners on what they're looking for? Like, how does that go from? I mean, is it you have this all like creative design to come up with this? Because let's be honest, like to come up with all the stuff that you've done is incredible.
Yeah, it's to touch on that in a couple different ways. I mean, for starters, a lot of, I would say probably 90%. It varies project to project. Like prime example. I mean, Jared and Michael, both of those guys. I mean, man, they're really hands on. Like, I mean, Jared's been out. Jared's in the shop working with me right now. When we're they're out. He's out running some errands and stuff right now. But he's in the shop welding, and we're building stuff. And I mean, I'll ask his opinion. Like, hey, like you think this way or like this way? And again, because some of that stuff is just there's no blueprint for it. There's no there's no right or wrong in it. It's like a lot of that's just going to be on on our terms. And but yeah, I mean, for I would say for 90% of it in the grand scheme of things, like, man, a lot of people, and it's a blessing, to be honest. People are just like, here you go. I want X, Y, and Z part, or I want this, and this done. I need a turbo kit. Like, do what. Jake's funny. Jake's another one of the killers out there for sure. And but yeah, they'll kind of give me a list of what they want done on the project, and it's pretty much free game for it for the most part, and it's awesome. I mean, it just allows my mind to be able to kind of venture off the path that is the typical way to follow. And does it work always 100% for the best? No, I mean, no, obviously. Like, I mean, if something's not, I wouldn't say failing, or if something can't be changed or bettered, then man, I think you're not thinking enough on whatever you're making. And so yeah, that's just what I try to do. I mean, tuck stuff in better. I mean, different plumbing and tucking wiring and all that stuff. That's a whole other topic in itself. But I mean, I do a ton of that as well. I mean, I'm finishing a couple. I finish a bunch of cars and trucks out too. So a lot of that's that last 10% that takes 90% of it, and 90% of the time. And I get to do a lot of that. It can be without a doubt pretty overwhelming. I think you can ask anybody that builds race cars or does any of this stuff that, man, it'll take your head and brain for a trip for sure. But yeah, I mean, on the flip side of that, it's allowed me to kind of see where stuff, what works, kind of what doesn't, make minute changes, change stuff around. Yeah, it's kind of cool because I work on such a wide range of vehicles, from your typical, from a street rod to a pro mod. I mean, to an alcohol super stock. I mean, to a super farm, to a 3.0 smoothbore truck. I mean, that range is so big. And I typically don't get projects in order. Like, it's like I have a Pro Mod and a 4-wheel drive, chassis truck at the shop right now. And, they're pretty similar, but they're pretty different too. So they're all going to have their different iterations and stuff. And, to answer your question, I mean, man, a lot of it's kind of just free game for the most part. I do check with customers. If you bring a project to me, I mean, man, we're going to be on the phone a lot. We're going to become good friends. I mean, at the end of the day, I would say all the time for sure. I'll call you at 1 a.m. and be like, hey, do you think you want to do this or whatever? And they're like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get some sleep, but yeah, sure. I was going
to follow up with like, how do you shut that shit off and go to sleep at night? Because I mean, that's the shit that keeps you up. That's a bit of a rabbit hole question as well. But, I would say for the first 5 to 7 years of doing this stuff, I didn't. I never shut my brain off. It would keep me up at night, and through my time at GMS, Gene's Machine Shop, when I worked there for a while, and then into the fire punk time frame of my life. I mean, then into what now? But man, I mean, there was a massive window in there that I would say my life didn't revolve around anything else but getting better and finishing projects. I didn't shut it off. To my own detriment, I mean, man, you don't know your limits as far as kind of how far you can push yourself and how important sleep actually is. I know it's kind of not something you probably expect me to say. It's like, oh, what the heck? But man, it really is. I'm 27 now, but in that time frame of my younger 20s, I mean, man, we would burn, and I still do. I mean, it's not like I've completely stopped that, but man, it's I didn't. You need to learn how to turn it off, though. I mean, for the younger audience, I guess, or for anybody, honestly. My work is. I see my work for one being better. Getting. I mean, even if it's 6-7 hours. I mean, 6 hours sleep, 5 hours of sleep. I mean, don't that when you're doing 3-4 hours of sleep, 2 hours and naps, sleeping on your toolbox or sleeping on the mat. I mean, man, I did that. I mean, I would do that for weeks at a time. And it's just not good. I mean, when you're in a rush, 100%, or if you're in a crunch, 100%. I'll do it, and I'll probably continue to do that the duration of my life. But for that younger,
you will.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, it's going to change.
I'm glad. I hear that more and more.
He's still in diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Adam Wilson. There was your. Can I get an old man? That was it right there. Cody, you can continue now. Thank you.
In my 20s, I didn't give a shit at all. But like now in my mid 40s, like today, I got done here in the office. I closed the laptop and I literally passed out in this chair for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's to my own fate. I mean, we're all guilty of it. I mean, but when you love something, I mean, it is your passion. I mean, truly your passion. I mean, and you can. I would say I can feel people out pretty good, and I think most of us probably can. But man, you can see when somebody has that drive, and I had that burned into me. Like, man, I had and still do just have that drive. Like, man, like I'm not gonna give up. Like it's sink or swim. Adam,
if I'm about to be a grandpa, I'm also about to be a murderer.
Yeah. Oh man. But you need your body needs to rest. I have learned that, and for the mental clarity and just being able to think straight and be in a good mood all the time. Like, I went some years. I mean, and I'll admit it. I mean, I think anybody that has known me for a extent of time. I mean, man, there's been times. I mean, I just was not friendly to be around. I mean, simply because I was hyper focused on on working or just bettering myself or whatever, however you want to word that. I mean, there's a bunch of different terms, depending on the circumstance or what was going on at the time. But
There's some truth in that, and you've matured and have understood that. Because when I first met you, you were a little tough to know. You weren't a dick to me. You were never rude, but you were kind of hard to get to know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'll admit it. I mean, and it's you don't know what you don't know until you're past it. And while that's always registered in my head, it didn't until I kind of took that step. And man, when I did leave, Fire Punk and we split ways, man, I took a couple months off and kind of just reset my bearings. I'm like, man, just everything. And man, you just, again, you don't know it. And it's like, man, I'm happy through my day. I don't have, I didn't go 7 days sleeping 2 hours each day and, driving and going back and forth and running like a chicken with my head cut off. And now, man, I get more work done probably nowadays, even with running a business full time, and I'm getting a little bit more sleep. And man, I feel like I feel better. I would say definitely friendlier to be around for sure. And it's been a big learning year, I would say, for sure, on a lot of that stuff, and just realizing it. So but yes, to answer, I guess, the heart of your question, man, shutting that light off now, I have found another little bit of a hobby. I would say, everybody needs to have something to kind of get them away from their main bread, regardless. People say, oh, well, that means you're not fully committed or this or that. It's like, well, again, you don't know what you don't know until you're past that point or whatever. But, I started Mr. Cordova had got.
I figured he was your influence on that.
Man, he's an influence in a lot of that stuff. He has helped me grow. More than I'll ever be able to repay him for, as far as, just in words or just friendship wise. But, just realizing some of that. But he got me into, I've hunted, fished, been shooting guns and carried guns my entire life. And, he got me into competitive shooting, and, himself, why he might be docile on the fact of it, he's a straight shooter himself, bar none. But, I got into that, and man, that did a number for my stress and stuff. And man, I love it. There's a lot of benefits to it too. And man, the crowd, the people around it, it's kind of the same as this industry for the most part. But yeah, I would say 99% of the time, you're never going to run into a bad face or a bad name or whatever, in this field. And, but yeah, so I took up some of that, and just telling myself, being more disciplined, like, hey, you're going to go in and you're going to sleep 6 hours, and you're going to come back out. You're going to stop and reset, and tomorrow's a new day. Some of that mindset change and some of the, just habits and, discipline stuff. It's kind of the basic stuff, that I'm saying, but man, you say it in a certain context, and it really, really does, voice, a lot of importance to all that. So yeah, I think a hobby definitely helps shut some of that off. Finding something, or just being hard on yourself. You have to be. You have to be brutally honest with yourself a lot of the times. And I've definitely have. And I think everybody should. That's just kind of where I stand on some of that stuff. But yeah. So while I do shut down and go get some sleep, at the end of the day, it's always going to be running. It's running as soon as I wake up in the morning. It's, hey, we're going to do this or that or whatever it is. And don't be a night owl. Avoid that, because that has been, man, we could talk about that for hours, but I'm still a night owl of a person. I for whatever reason, I always thrived on it. Not necessarily any reason why, I guess, it's just something I enjoyed, being in the shop late, knowing the majority of the world's sleeping, and I'm up, just building cool stuff, or however you want to word that. Not in a cocky way or an ego driven way. I was like, man, I want that. If I can do my normal work during the day and then this work at night, man, if I do that for even half the year, I'm going to be a half a year ahead of people. And it's like, and man, right or wrong, I saw that. You see, it's like, man, like, you're building this and this, and like you've only been doing it for this long, and it's like, yeah, I had quadruple, triple the hours in a year that the typical person would, and I wouldn't trade any of it for the I wouldn't trade any of it, wouldn't change any of that stuff. I mean, that's part of life, and just growing in an industry and whatnot. So I love it. I mean, but yeah, it's I think that answers majority of that question for the most part. And as Lauren says, crying. She's a character. But she is the mother of the next generation of badasses in the industry, because Michael and Lauren just had their first child, and he's already giving me dirty looks and telling me that my weld sucks. So, it's I'm kind of dreading the day that he can actually talk, because I know the roasts are going to come from him for sure. He's going to be exactly like his dad on that one. But
if you hang around the pit area between you and Greg's truck, I mean, all day long, the zingers and one-liners are just flying nonstop.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it keeps that. It just keeps the atmosphere alive, man. Like, just keeps you on your toes. And it's such a great group of people to be around. I mean, while at one end of the day or at one end of the spectrum, I mean, I guarantee we fight, argue, bicker, and complain about each other. I mean, you guys know how close friend groups get, but but on the flip side of it, man, like if something needs done or something's broken, it's like, all right, like, well, go at it. Like, I mean, there's no like, oh, well, like, I don't think we're going to do it. Like, we're not even going to try. Like, I mean, we'll freaking, again, it comes down to just how bad do you want it. And Michael is a perfect example of that too. He's been racing in this. I don't want to make him sound too old. But he, he's been in this, I remember seeing me and Michael grew up in the same town. I remember seeing him with, some of his older trucks back in the day, and just like starstruck. It like, man, you can do this. And I guess my point behind that just being like, man, he's been in it for so long, and his passion for it burns. I mean, like you're never going to beat that man down. I mean, when it comes to it, like, he wants it, like, man, he's going to work till, it happens. And, it goes to show. I mean, look at where he's at, man. I mean, it's been awesome to be a part of it, and be a part of it, and experience all that with him too. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I don't think I could ever ask for any more, on that in itself. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
He mentioned it at the points banquet for ODSS last winter, that he'd set a goal for himself to be the quickest diesel in the world, and he set that goal for himself 10 years ago, and it has been relentless persistence ever since then to get to this point.
Yeah, and I mean, speaks mountains on on that. Like, that man has had that in his head, and it's he got it, and it's just like, man, like, that's, and we're so far from being done. I mean, he himself, but me as well. Like, I mean, you're just so far from being done from what that car is capable of. And, I mean, between me and Michael, I mean, it's honestly probably a good thing that we don't have an open checkbook, because we'd probably, Lauren would probably hate me and him more. And we'd probably have about 50 race cars. But, I mean, it's, you put two minds like that together, man. And I mean, it's why more is not always better. And it speaks mountains. We have a close knit group of guys, as far as the Wrenchworks group goes. And then, even smaller with me and Michael. I mean, when it comes down to racing, I mean, Greg has, Dawson and Cole that help him, and, Andre and, Logan, a couple of those guys. And, but when it comes to the rail, man, it's me and Michael, and we're I mean, it is a struggle sometimes. And I mean, we get mad at each other. I mean, because again, we're just like trying to like make sure it's perfect. Like, we really want to go fast. So like, you get emotional about it. it's hard not to. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, we're both methodical people. And like, again, you put the right combination together with the right minds, man. Small group of people, you can do so much more than what you've ever thought that was capable with that amount of people. Like, so yeah, more is not always better, and less is sometimes better. So I think it just depends on the environment, people, and all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, it's been awesome. So
I'm curious to see and who's going to do it and when it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be in the heat of summer necessarily, but Michael got a pretty big piece of the puzzle with setting the ODSS record as deep as he did in the threes. 3.0 is kind of one of those just massive milestones that we're not really going to see again in terms of ET. No one's ever going to go a 2 in a diesel. Okay, it's just that's not coming. But we do have one more major milestone that's out there, and that's a 200-mile-an-hour pass.
Yep.
I mean,
that's coming.
It's coming. I don't know when. I don't even necessarily know, because at this point it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
But like everything else, I don't know, it might even been you that I had the conversation with last fall. It's like, once everybody does one, everybody will start doing them all the time. And we're right there.
Yep, 100%. And I mean, to speak on that, I mean, as a, kind of as a whole, and just kind of, obviously being really active in the diesel racing stuff, obviously, and yourself obviously as well included. So you'll know everything that I'm mentioning, but you have about 3 different iterations of vehicles that are so close to that 200-mile-an-hour number. I mean, you have Jared Ring. I mean, I'm looking at the car right now, and it's right there. I mean, it's a couple small, minute changes, and man, it's going to be there. The rail, I mean, it's right there. I mean, the tune-up's in it. But again, though, it takes a full combination to go fast. You can't have, I mean, it goes to show them you can have 4,000 horsepower, you have 5,000 horsepower. If you don't know how to use it and manage it, like, it's not worth anything. Same goes for a pulling track too, but that's a topic. We won't upset too many pullers tonight. No, but I love them to death. But
that's a goal. That's a goal.
Yeah.
It's a good show if we can piss off at least 1 or 2.
Yeah.
We can get into that. I could probably do that pretty quick if we bring up real.
If we don't get on the pulloff.com.
But hey, by the way, it is completely unfair that you get to look at that Cadillac and we don't. Turn that damn camera.
I know. Let's see. I'm in the trailer, but you can kind of see it's a little. I'm actually in the trailer at the moment.
Nice.
But she's pretty. We had the wrap off. We had the cover off. Of her, doing some things and stuff. So the other one's on the other side. So we won't
show the video to some guys here today. I was like, you have to listen to this thing. It is mean. And they're like, oh my God, that's a caddy. I said, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, Charles, I guess as far as the vehicles that are right there, I mean, even the big tire pro mods, I mean, we got, Rod's Corvette. I mean, that's a killer. That, I mean, that car will, I mean, we all think, they all will at some point, and eventually, Johnny and the guys at Stainless, like, man, they are on a freaking rampage. Like, I love, I love seeing those guys go fast. And I mean, they're printing time slips, and, they're, again, a couple small changes, playing on a keyboard some more, and like, it's there. Firepunk boys too. I mean, with their new car, I got
Saturday after throwing the kitchen sink at it, and Lynn will be the first to tell you, he's like, that was a guess.
Yeah, exactly. And, I know they've been fighting that car pretty hard. But, I mean, that's it. New car bugs. I mean, I get it. I got to be a part of that car a little bit, but not since it's been on the racetrack. But I love seeing them being able. Who would do such a thing? Yeah, people. Yeah. I won't mention 3.0 smoothbore stuff, so we won't make anybody mad. But
oh no, let's really get pissed off. Can we talk about work stock?
Oh man, no, I don't know.
Yes, please.
Limited air.
let's melt some heads.
Oh man. No, I mean, as a whole, like, I even really, I'd done some drag racing stuff growing up. But man, I got a taste of a Grand National style super farm tractor for the first time, and like I was like, oh my gosh, like what, like this is a factory style, it's a factory John Deere block. It's got a big turbo. At the time I was like, oh, 3-inch charger, that is massive, like holy crap. And then, got a taste of that and stuff. And, that just kind of set that car in motion. And, I love it to death. I think, going from, I guess I don't want to say I'd pick either which one 100%, but I definitely would lean towards the drag racing side. And I think everybody's going to have their own taste of what organization they pulled out. And man, I've pulled everything from OSTPA to COTPC to NTPA to PPL. I mean, I followed that Grand National circuit for 4 or 5 years. A couple of those years with, the Glock guys, Brent Payne and all those guys, John Strickland. I mean, I still love them. Still great guys. Talk to them pretty frequently. And being able to do that and like, man, I love it to death. I think in some of and even it's kind of going to be kind of, a term or maybe a sentence that kind of is counterintuitive to each other, but pullers, I always noticed I'm not going to tell them anything. Like I'm just going to tell them some BS that this is wrong, or lead them in a direction that is wrong, or whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying this is for the entirety of pulling, because some of my best friends are pullers, and some of the people I talk to on a daily basis are PPL, guys that run, alcohol light supers and, pro stocks, all of them. And, but it really, for whatever reason, and maybe it was just in the time that I was, heavy into it, everything, you had your little cliques everywhere of people and stuff. And, you wouldn't talk to them, or you couldn't even ask them for an air chuck to fill a tire or whatever it is, or people would just get so, tied up in some of that stuff that, it kind of pushed me away a little bit. Now, while it did in one sentence, I still love it to death. But going from that world to drag racing and taking in a ton more of information in that world, and being able to go to, I wouldn't say every single race, and you're going to have your grudge racing and your no time racing and all that stuff. And I love that stuff too. Not as much of my swing, but I can go to about any race, and I can go to every single pit. And man, if I needed an engine, if I needed a transmission, a turbo, a fitting, whatever it may be, they'll drop what they're doing and, offer about any help that they can.
Yep.
And man, like that, just speaks wonders, because, having myself with my own racing program been in those situations where I need something, or I'm broken or whatever, and having just somebody, I have no idea who they are, come over and, help swing a wrench or help hold something, or offer parts, or offer parts off their own car, or off their tow rig. I mean, that in itself, I was like, man, like you can't beat that. Just the atmosphere as a whole, I liked. I think another thing
in the group chats, I mean, somebody will post up, hey, I need a fill in the blank, and within 2 minutes,
exactly.
You got 10 guys going, yep, go to my trailer, third door down, just go get it.
The only thing that doesn't work for is 10mm sockets. Nobody got none of them. They all lost.
Oh man, they all walk away. They still do. But I mean, I think while I love the sled pulling stuff, I mean, the drag racing is kind of taken, I think, my heart for the moment. But again, like I said, some of my best friends, though, I mean, they're still, Brandon Phillips is, with the Insanity team. I mean, me and Brandon, I got to know him some years ago, and man, we're great friends. And like,
it's hard not to like that guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's a wealth of knowledge too, really smart, and you know, we get to go back and forth. And man, like, you know, while he's been in some drag racing stuff, you know, he's been, you know, has had his world revolved around pooling for such a long time too. That having some of those ideas collide to the extent that we have, it's cool because, you know, a lot of it correlates, a lot of it doesn't. But man, we've, you know, just you bring some of that the drag racing knowledge to the pooling world or vice versa. And I mean, man, it's cool. Like, and that's what it's all about. I mean, I think to me, like, you know, while I like to keep, you know, minimal information to myself, and I really don't even at that, like, there's some stuff or customers or people that I do stuff on their projects that they don't want me to say. And I understand it. I mean, you know, especially with, you know, unfortunately, the amount of money that is going into these projects and some of these platforms and, you know, race teams and developing stuff, you know, I understand that. But for the majority of it, it's, it's always pretty open for the most part. And that's, it's been awesome. I think the amount of attempts at the track, comparing pooling to drag racing was big to me. You know, I think about it, and honestly, I think about it all the time, even like, you know, currently. And, you know, driving, and we did it so much. You drive, you know, from Sandwich, Illinois to Langford, New York, or, you know, to Toma, to, you know, Kentucky. I mean, it is a ton of time behind a wheel to make one hook, two hooks, maybe. And, you know, and not saying that's right or wrong. That's how it's been. That's how pooling has been as a whole for, you know, the longevity of the sport. But man, like on drag racing, we can turn a car around 10 times a day and make 10 attempts. And the amount of knowledge that we get and data that we have, you know, between all these platforms and the drag racing side, it's mountains over what the pooling world, you know, has in any given just single event. I'm not saying they don't have data. They obviously, you know how sled pullers are with dynoing stuff. And I love a dyno. I mean, I've basically, you know, babysat a dyno for a while. So that's what I did. And I love it. And, but man, these common rail platforms and the new age electronics and some of this, and I'm not saying I love my mechanical stuff. I through and through. I mean, whoever thinks I will take the sound of a common rail over the sound of a Sigma motor with a single 5.5-inch charger I mean, you can't, those are hard to beat. The womp womp of a pro stock is something that'll live rent free in my head for my entirety. Like 5 Rap Kids, that is the first vehicle they will ever hear, simply just so it's ingrained in their head because it's beautiful. But, you know, they, I will answer that here in a minute.
Good question.
Very good question. But to, I guess, kind of finish that side of it, like the amount of knowledge that and data that we have with this new age of drag racing stuff, man, and the things that we can do and the control that we have, it's insane. And I love it, like, because it's a never ending progression of stuff. And, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, you can't advance some of this mechanical platform and, you know, the mechanical platform still, because people are. I mean, you know, I think I'll give a little shout out. Gavin Hook, I don't know if you ever, he's worked at Firebunker or whatnot, big into the VE pump stuff. And man, he is that platform. And, you know, in my eyes was, I mean, never really a thing to me. You know, I never really saw much of it.
Or to anyone else except Gavin.
Yeah. And,
I met a guy this week. Yeah. And Cody, you probably know him, actually. I'll tell you offline, but yeah.
Okay. And, but, you know, that, you know, just to use that as a reference, you know, those guys are still pushing those platforms and it's awesome. Again, unfortunately, the forefront of these platforms and what these guys are actively drag racing and stuff is going to be this new age common rail system pertaining to the diesel stuff and these electronics. And man, the sky's the limit. I mean, like, and you know, it's all growing so much. And I think some of that has to do with how many attempts you get at the track and how much you can do it. I don't see sled pulling having test days. I mean, I've seen a couple of them. I shouldn't say that entirely, but for the majority, you don't see it. These guys go to these indoor pools and, you got tires falling off and this and that. And, things happen. I obviously understand. I mean, we blow engines and turbos and all that kind of stuff up in drag racing. But if you give people a place or the ability to test, like, man, it goes so much and allows these guys to honestly probably have more fun at the end of the day pooling because they know, like, they have an overall better understanding of what they have in their tractor or truck or whatever it is. And I think that's kind of where my head went. I saw more growth or ability to grow in the drag racing side of stuff. I think that's a pretty good explanation, I guess, as far as where I sit on some of that stuff. I mean, I don't hate pulling or any of that stuff. I mean, I love it to death. I mean, cut tires and pro stocks and all that stuff. I mean, I love it to death. I mean, I always will. But yeah, I definitely think there's some avenues that I would love to see some of those guys venture off into, and and some of these organizations allow, like, hey, like, let's push some of this stuff. Because the amount of people that are in pooling and fans that it has, I mean, that, how rich and fans pooling is. I mean, you go to Pool Town in Bowling Green, Ohio, and that in itself speaks wonders. Still one of the coolest events in the world, in my opinion. I think that's a pretty good answer as far as where I stand on that. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
David had a question here. We did show off actually one of your compound semi kits. Whose truck did that go in, by the way? Or can you not say?
Definitely not allowed to say. I actually got in a little bit of trouble posting that picture because a couple of like some of the accents that are on that truck, which I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could see it. Like, I knew that before I posted it. But really good guys. I'm sure they've been wanting to go and race that thing up north, and they run they have like 3 or 4 rotators, like recovery vehicles. Towing service is what they do down south. And man, there's some good old boys, and they love nice stuff. And that's another one of those things that free reign on it. Like, hey, here's what compounds on my semi, and do your thing. I want it to be badass. And it's like, cool. Like, that's what we did. So yeah, that's still one of my favorites that I did. I love that turbo kit. Just build in general. It's really cool. Not the typical compound kit you see on semis. So yeah.
I kept walking around Onaway looking at trucks, black trucks with hoods up, going, "Where is it? It's got to be here somewhere. Somebody has this."
I know. I tell them every time. I'm like, man. Every time I see an event, or I get event notices or whatnot, and I'm like, come on, I'll send it to them. I'll be like, let's go. Like, pick me up on the way. And but yeah, they're just, man, they're slammed. They have some contracts and stuff with states and whatnot to always be on call and stuff. So it has definitely affected them being able to get out with that semi. So they actually have another one, but that one will be around at some point. So yeah, there is more semi stuff definitely in the future. So pretty cool.
Good deal.
I was curious of what your thoughts are on like the laser welders, because you go to any show, like laser welders are a huge thing that they're trying to push anymore. So like they're clean. My God, they are clean. They are smooth. They're fast. And what's that look like for the future for what you're doing of being able to do some of that of laser welding versus what you're doing?
Man, I have so I've actually welded with one of them, the LP. I have a trouble remembering the name of the company, but one of the regardless, I won't butcher the name of the company because I can't remember it. But yes, the process is awesome. Like, it looks great. The material stays cool. As far as how it relates to what I guess necessarily that I'm doing, man, it would have a bunch of there would be a bunch of, there would need to be a bunch of improvements and changes made to that platform. Like for instance, the laser welder gun that it has with the spool and stuff on it, like at least the ones that I'm familiar with, very bulky. My torches that I use, I'm using a 920 series torch, and people are like, oh, it's not amp rated or whatever. We'll let the comments decide that. But I use a 920 series torch. I mean, the smaller the torch, the better in my hand. Like I kind of have figured it as I write like I weld almost. I hold my TIG torch how I write. I can hold it about whichever way. But so I don't know. That's about one of my biggest kind of like what ifs with it. And I just don't have a ton of experience with it. I would love, if I can get that process out of a compact version of, a laser welder, like in, that smaller package, for sure. It would speed the process up in a lot of stuff for production stuff, or if you're doing non-tube. I guess I've never really seen it been used on tubing in particular. But like plate and doing brackets and some of that stuff, like, man, that would speed that process up. Worlds over. And the penetration's good on it. Like, it's got all the benefits that like you would want to see improved from a MIG or a TIG, and like take some of that usability out of it. You can give about anybody that, and let them go to town with it, and have very, very, very repeatable welds and finished products. Like when you're not worried about warpage from heat and all that stuff, man. That takes out such a massive part of it. All the fixturing and stuff. Adam knows all about this. He definitely fixtures probably more stuff than I do, especially with pans and stuff. But man, if you could laser weld one of those things out, put a couple, small clamps down or bolt down, like, and not having to, weld this half out, let this cool, and
that's comment of the night.
That is golden. That is good. Oh man. The mini rod guys, just they always take it that extra step of just like, oh, that's great,
right?
That's funny. I've watched
Tyler, what you don't know is behind the scenes when we were figuring this out to have Cody on, I made the comment that he's capable of welding a dick on a snowman.
Yeah, it was pretty good when I was like, that's good. I really like the caption of the overall of our conversation and stuff. That was pretty funny. I got it sent to me by a couple times. My mom sent it to me. My mom's a sweetheart, and she's like, oh, that's so fun, just blah 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 or whatnot. But
that's like what everybody asked me. They're like, oh, have you found anything you can't weld? And I said, yeah, a broken heart.
Yeah,
so that's where that came from.
And I'm gonna tell you, probably the biggest reason we can't weld broken hearts is probably because we break them in the process of learning how to do it. I know
it's the nature of the beast, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it 100% is. I don't know if the internet has enough time for that conversation, relationships related to motorsports, but we might need to all have a sit down chat about that one. But
you have to really thick skin to be on social media and be a welder, because it's the two things I have found in this world that if you post a picture of, you're going to get critiqued all to hell. One is a weld picture, and the other is if you do any kind of timber falling, post a picture of your stump, and you are going to get more opinions than you ever wanted.
You'll get roasted.
Yeah, and
2.0, you'll be fine. It's therapy.
I tell people like those. Man, I've gotten more comments and stuff said to me throughout the years that like, stand up and face it with take it to the face and just be like, man, like I don't care, like cool, like I think it's some of the beauty in it is like, man, when you get I'm guilty of it. I think all of us are, of talking down on, other people welding, or, like why'd they build that, or why'd they do it this way? I'm guilty of it. Everybody is, I think, cause it's kind of that, there is, I think we'd all be lying if we didn't say there was some ego involved in all this as a whole. Like, what other, obviously there's other reasons why we all do it, but
I
at the end
live
of the
for
day,
Tuesday mornings of SEMA week just to see what gets
but yeah, I mean, think about, like when we think about the PRI shows and all this stuff, like, man, the amount of time that I've spent putting into projects for that show and stuff. And it's like, man, why? And you really think about it and you be honest with yourself. And it's like, well, it's because I want people to see my work. So yeah, I mean, everybody's gonna, you are your own worst critic. I mean, I know that's a very, probably I would say overly used, saying, but man, it's true. Just block out a lot of that nonsense. If you have people telling you that, you can't do this or you can't do that, or this is dumb, like, man, like, take it for what it is, for sure. Take constructive criticism. I still take it all the time. I mean, I ask people to, like, I ask customers and stuff all the time, like, man, be honest with me. Like, is this what you wanted? Do you like this? Like, and I want your honest answer. I don't want the, yeah, man, thanks. Like, I love it. Like, and lie to me about it. Because again, you don't learn from winning, you learn from losing, or, not being 100%. And like, I just, that it relates to so much in welding and racing and everything. That's just how I have to look at it. And honestly, it's kept. And in the past, I mean, I've been a pretty negative talk. Down. Cody Fisher can weld the dick on it. That's great.
Ryan did alternative artwork because
I wasn't effing around.
This conversation about this.
That's cool. I love that. I don't. I don't think. I'm probably sure I could in some way, shape, or form. Might have to be a metal one, but like we could figure something out for sure.
As long as it's a metal snowman, we're good to go.
You're not wrong. I have seen a bunch of those around more recently,
right.
But yeah, I mean, what was I? I'm completely losing my train of thought now. After
my fault.
Hey, welding the dick on a snowman. I mean, it definitely got in my head. I'm like, I think I probably
you can put that one
right now.
You can put that on the business card or the name badge.
Yeah, that's good. I think I might get it put on a cup, honestly.
He's going to be doing something on one of Jared's cars tomorrow, and he won't say anything for like a half hour. And Jared's going to look at him and go, "What are you thinking about?"
Let me man, I was just this snowman's rattling my brain. Just can't wrap my head around it.
So I'll give you something to think about. But like, what is the like? We all have like an it project, like it photo project, whatever. Like, what is the one that like you are? This is the one. This is what I'm happy with. This is the one for you.
Man, that's a rough one. I would say one that I was like, man, like I like that. Again, it's hard, like, because there's things I would change on every single project I've ever done. I mean, that's just the nature of that. But
100%. I'm sorry, but like I'm gonna make you think on that because like you always have
it's a good question.
You will always go back and look at them and like I would change this, and this, or I do this different, or I would have changed the angle of this. Like, but you have one project that you've gone through and you're like, this is the one I'm the most happiest with. This is the one that I'm like, this is it
for sure. It would have to be, it would be on the spot, so I don't waste too much time sitting here staring at the ceiling. The semi, as far as fabrication only on a project, I would say that's probably my favorite. Man, just loved how that one turned out. Like I remember staring back and looking at that thing, just going, "Man, that is killer."
And whose semi was that?
Undisclosed.
We can't see.
I feel like they wouldn't. I feel like they wouldn't care. But they're they're out of Virginia. I'll say that, and they own a bunch of rotators, and their rotators are nicer than that semi. You put it that way.
We'll take it.
I feel like Charles. I feel like there's some people that can probably put those pieces of the puzzle together on that.
We can figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't yet, but I probably will figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. It's. Yeah, I mean, I love that thing. I mean, I mean, it had a full 6-inch intake. I mean, it really does suck that the picture doesn't grasp how large that turbo kit really is. I mean, it is massive. I mean, all the
there's the two right there, fans, the Weimer. You know it's big.
I mean, yeah, and 2 of them at that. But the exhaust is 6-inch tubing. The intake, rather than running your typical run of the mill, breather tubes or whatever you want to call them, intake that just have all the boots and stuff in it. Besides, on the cans themselves, doing all that, like that stuff is massive. Like when you look at that thing in person, I mean, it is like holy crap. Like it's just. One of those ones that takes you back.
I'm feeling my wallet scream in agony at the cost of just a vibrant clamp that big.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's 4-inch charge pipes and stuff, but it's sorry, we're trying to get some dinner around here real quick.
So while you're doing
I'm
that,
a pretty bad multitasker.
While
Just
you're
go
doing
with
that,
the General Tso's chicken and egg rolls. It's fine.
No, I would eat it. I'm a dumpster when it comes to food.
my follow-up question is, what's in your favorites camera roll?
What's my favorite picture in my camera roll?
No, like you have a camera roll that's at your favorites. What's in your favorites camera roll? Like, is it projects you've done? Is it other stuff? Like, what is in your favorites camera roll?
Man, like in my phone is what you're asking, or are you just asking like in? Man, I don't even know. I don't even know, to be honest. My favorites. Well, that's kind of scary to even. Yeah, I don't even keep it. I really don't keep anything in my favorites. To be 100% honest, I have a picture of my old quad cab, my Enforcer, first one I ever put together, and a video of Justin Ziegler's truck on the dyno at UCC. That is there's and like a couple of random, like just no idea where they came from pictures. But yeah, those are my pictures that are in there. But as far as like some of those like my favorite pictures and stuff, man, like I guess it's not I wouldn't say it's a bad thing or it's like, oh, it's trying to move on, but I try not to like dwell on project to project, I get, or, one project, like make this my staple of, my name or my company or, whatever, however you want to word that. Each of them, I genuinely, I put a ton of heart into all of them. So, I really I try to give them as much equal appreciation as I can. I wish there's some projects. Yes, 100% with the yard stick.
Spool time's also clocked on a sundial.
Yes, and if you measure turbos in inches, it's always better than milliliters. But while on one end of the spectrum, I would love to give every project the exact same amount of time. Obviously, that's just not a feasible thing in this world. But yeah, like I really, I genuinely, and I can say with a clear conscience, like I really try to put my heart and soul into every project that I've done. And you have small projects in there and stuff, and you're just tiny little fixes or whatever it is for some for some smaller projects. But yeah, like Michael's rail, like love that thing. I mean, Justin Ziegler, that's thinking of that now, and I say the semi and Justin's iteration now that he has the original Pro Street truck. I killed myself on that truck. Well, not killed myself, but I put a ton of time into that truck, and I still it holds a weird spot in my heart for it for sure. And going to the dyno, that it gives me honestly, it gives me cold chills even saying it. Like when we dyno that I think was the most nervous I have ever been in my entire life. was when it was on that dyno. Just because of the all of the hype around the dyno for that year, and with Derek Rose, I love Derek to death. I mean, me and Derek are great friends, and that battle with while I don't why I didn't own the truck or anything like that, still played a pretty big part in that.
You kind of built that truck bumper to bumper twice, really.
Yeah, I mean, in some way, shape, or form, but yeah, I mean, I did like that truck has been through some iterations. I mean, it's an OG for sure, and but yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, I've done front halves and this and that and the other. I mean, you name it. I mean, single turbos, headers, compounds, Weimers. I mean, just list goes on, and that truck in particular. I guess if there is one vehicle that holds a special place in my heart, I think it would be that, man. Kind of saying that, it's just sorry. Trying to get this water. Hey, I'm not in Texas that long, so I have to get my Whataburger when I can.
Double animal style.
Oh, man, that's spicy ketchup.
I had In-N-Out tonight, or this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
I hate both of you.
Whatever. So
yeah.
Not bad.
That spicy ketchup they have, man, that stuff is addicting. But back to the topic. But yeah, I mean, that one really does, when I kind of like thinking about it a little bit more, like that was like, the truck, when I started at Firepunk, I started at Firepunk, just a lot of people don't know, just a little bit of backstory into that. I won't dive too deep. But man, like I started there just as a tech, I didn't really, I knew some friends. I had a couple buddies that had worked there, friends with Levon and Larson and all that, and stopped in to get my truck that I had at the time retuned. And it was like, hey man, like I had just left GMS and was weighing some options as far as what I was going to do. As far as I was going to stay in motorsports, but wasn't 100% sure. Had a couple different options, and but that truck, like I mean, it kind of lived in had a place in my head already. Like, man, like that thing is badass. Getting to be a part of that, while I wasn't a part of it from the very beginning, of being a part of it for a long portion of its life. That truck probably taught me, things that you can't teach people, like that. It just that I learned so much from that truck. And hey, Maddie, how are you? Tell Dawson I said hi if you're still with him. But it taught me a ton. And like the amount of memories that I have revolved around that truck. I mean, that's why I'm stumbling my words a little bit more than I usually do, is because I'm just thinking of them, like the UCC stuff. Like, man, I mean, that the last year we did UCC, or we won UCC when Levon owned it. Man, I mean, we like the amount of stories that I can tell in that night alone. I mean, it'd take 3 hours. But
Cody, was that the year that Levon broke into the sevens?
Was
that the last? Yep. Was the year that the last year of quarter mile, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was when I had the. Yeah.
I was standing next to Charles in the announcer's tower.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
And that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I've never seen a truck squat like that, but oh my God.
I think it was 788 at, I do not remember. I was not honestly sure of the mile an hour that I had, to be honest. I was forgetting too. But that
was also the run that made NHRA have an absolute meltdown about it.
Yeah, really. But yeah, I mean, that truck, like, man, like it's just nuts. I mean, I've probably cussed that truck and But again, kind of back to that, like that time that Justin, like up to the point Justin has it now, but that year of UCC when it was not in, I want to say the immediate Firepunk camp, it was, to a customer, but, obviously a great friend. And we still were taking taking a lot of care of it and helping them get used to it. And like now, man, those guys are running that thing, like a freaking, I mean, that thing is a ticket printing machine. Like, I mean, it is fast, and it's going to be a hard one to beat. I mean, I'll just say that. I mean, he's done an amazing job with that thing. But yeah, that year on the dyno, like that, still like that's one of those. Oh yeah, there's the good times. That is that shied when we were trying trans brake valve body things. I get tired. Look, I think I'm in the front. I'm actually pretty sure. Yeah, I think I'm in the front, probably doing convertibles. Probably for the third or fourth time. But in that debacle, but that was the beauty of that truck, man. I mean, it brought so many of us close together, and like, met a bunch of people through that truck, and maybe better. And like, man, we got the close group of guys that worked on that truck consistently. Like, me and Landon Miller, which is one of LeVon's brothers. Man, like, there was, I mean, I don't even know how many nights me and Landon have spent just turning wrenches on that thing. And me and Larson, and those guys were, I mean, like a family to me. And I mean, some of them still are for sure. And I like that setup, like, man, just absolutely awesome. Yeah, I don't know if a lot. So the last time LeVon drove, like when the truck was finally sold, so he sold it, and Josh Scruggs, and took delivery of it at PRI that year. Landon and LeVon tore it all down for the last time. Kind of had like a an evening of just like, hey, like kind of like, oh, like kind of sad. I mean, it was honestly pretty sad. But before we took it apart, me and LeVon went. There's a picture somewhere. I don't know if LeVon posted it or whoever. But me and him drove it to town because it still had water. I mean, it still had water on the block and stuff. We drove it to town, put fuel in it, and drove it back. And like, we just self-tappered a turkey in the passenger seat, and I just rode there, and we're like, this is awesome. And I'll tell you one thing. And there was no, like, I tried to video it, but like the phone went like flying through my hand or out of my hand or whatever it was. But we laid into that thing on the road a couple times, and still to this day, like, I mean, it's like, I can hear it. I know exactly where we were on the roads that we did it on, and like, we launched it and stuff. I mean, just playing around with it, but stuff like that with that truck. I mean, man, it's one of those things. I mean, it is crazy to look back on all that, even thinking about it. Some of that stuff I haven't really kind of thought about a whole bunch, and I guess recently. And, but yeah, so, I mean, that's, I guess, a little bit of backstory with that truck. Like, it's just a killer, man. I love that thing.
I'm looking to see if I can find that photo you're talking about.
Yeah. I think I want to say LeVon posted a picture of it, on his Instagram with, the front clip off of it, in the gas station, and we were filling it. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool. I'm excited to see that. I haven't seen it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. And it was cold. It was cold too. Like, yeah, the roads were all definitely in Mexico. It was definitely not Plain City, Ohio.
Everybody wanted to know what was going on with that thing, right?
Oh man. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, people like walk in like, man, what in the world? Like, just the shock and awe of driving that thing to the gas station. You're just like, what? I mean, you got 2 chutes hanging out of the back and just all this. I mean, 3 turbos out front, and I mean, just I mean, it was
old school to look at a drag truck with triples.
Oh my god, I was just looking at that. I'm like, oh my, that just looks heavy. Thinking about it, we could spend hours probably talking about some of the jokes and some of the fun times that went on with those triples on that truck. But yeah, no, Charles, you need to add, I would ask, I definitely won't throw it in there, but you need to ask LeVon about what he did with those triples in a burbit, high-speed burbit. We'll just leave that at that. So okay. pretty comical. You'll get a kick out of it. But yeah, I think, there's me, because Landon, I think, followed us, up the road with it and stuff. So yeah, just tell people it's drag week. Yeah, for sure. That would have been fun to do that. That was one thing that I never got to do or haven't done yet is drag week. So one of these days I will. Just kind of, one of those things you got to feel out. And when the time's right, the time's right. So there's still.
I forgot about this shit.
what's that? Oh boy, yeah. Standing behind that, like that picture looks bad, but standing directly behind it looked a lot worse. And that was the pass directly after we went 4s for the first time. Yeah. So, yeah. And then that was the last pass Levon ever made in that truck.
Was it? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I not because of that, just because like that was the season, I was a season ender and all that stuff at the time. Yeah, then obviously, besides on the street, because we did that, we did the street shenanigans after that, but yeah,
which it did have a set of street tires. I mean,
yeah, that's man, that's some years ago. Through the old forces and everything, man.
It seemed to kind of, well, not so much anymore, but it used to be kind of a thing with that truck. Because I remember at Crossville, I was on the track behind Josh when he reset the record with it.
Yeah.
And as it was going down the track, I saw the sides of it more than I saw the back of it because he was all over the place.
Yeah. And, some of that, and I mean, there's, there's 100 different ways to cut the cookie as far as suspensions and all that kind of stuff. And man, like that slogan, I think it just kind of puts it into like we race what we build type thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was a saying that was said there for a long time. I don't think too much. I don't think they use it anymore. But regardless of it, like man, that speaks just worlds to me. Like I love that. And yeah, it might not be the best, I guess, but it works. Or trying to figure it out, like you can buy the best of the best and all this kind of stuff. And why that truck, I've had tons and tons of good parts on it. Like man, just some country guys in a farm field building some stuff. And I think that speaks in a lot of its ways. Is it the right? Is it the wrong? I'm not going to say either which. Just because I don't think there is a right or wrong in it. Like that's just how it is, and that's how I enjoy doing it. That whole debacle was the winter right before I started, or I started. I think like I want to say like 2-3 months after this. After that whole thing.
If I remember right, you guys kept it a secret. No one knew until you pulled it out of the trailer and started shoving it in the truck. And word got up to us in the tower, hey, Levon's cramming in a Sigma pump motor in the truck for the dyno. We're like, what?
Yeah, wild. It is wild. So I guess let me rephrase that. I was thinking that was I was not putting 2 and 2 together. That was the Sigma motor. That was the year before I would, or like the 5-6 months before I'd started there, give or take, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, I remember watching that from the top of the grandstands, going, "Oh shit! Like that's wild!"
Yeah.
Like
I had Andrew and I had a laugh because Andrew was, we were big sled pull guys. And they rolled it up there, strapped the thing down, and everybody starts backing away except for the 2 of us. We went right up to it like a moth to a flame.
Yeah. Man,
we probably shouldn't have stood that close when it actually ran, but we did.
Yeah. The crowd, like when they started that thing for the first time, and like mind you, we were up in the grandstands, like so we were in a raised area looking down on it. The crowd, I think that is the largest crowd I've ever seen come around a single vehicle just to hear it run, where those pits were and like where all the benders were. Like, man, it was like a swarm of ants and like a 12-foot radius of a circle all the way around just the truck. And there's just the truck in the center, just womping all the way through. And it's like, holy moly, like pretty wild. Wish we could have done it some more. I mean, I would have loved to played around with that thing, because there was tons more in it, obviously, but the 48s, the 48s like to have a little bit shorter life. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's like I said, like it's crazy looking at this, and like when you say it, you're like, oh, that truck's been through so many iterations, and then like you see all of the, even some of these pictures, and you're just like, yeah, like it had more, it had tons of iterations before I was a part of it, and that's just why like the truck's just it's an OG. Like if there's a truck that I would, if I ever had the abilities to, I would, I'd mount that thing. hang it from the ceiling of my shop, like, just retire it and give it a home for the rest of its life. Like, just because
Justin will let you take it home.
Oh, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he wouldn't let me take it home from with the price tag that he has on it right now, because that thing's worth it. Worth pretty penny.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's it was a really cool truck to be a part of. But I mean, that goes for a bunch of them. That's but yeah, no, that was a fun time. There was a lot of sleepless nights and all of that. But again, wouldn't trade that for the world on that one for sure. And sprinkle the S10 on there and all the other ones, and you're just like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But yeah,
is the S10 still there, or they finally find somebody to buy that?
Yeah, as far as I know, as of a couple months ago when I had stopped in, it's still there. I don't think they had found somebody. I mean, there was a bunch of talk when I was still there. They had found some people to buy it. I'd like to see somebody out and have some fun with it. I mean, man, it's
we always want more pro mods.
The car, and I mean, the cars, the truck can be fast. I mean, while it has a little bit of an outdated body and stuff on it, I mean, man, we did a ton of reworking on that thing, and I mean a ton. Me and Lynn did. I mean, you name it to that thing, and we cut it out and put it back in. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, so. It's a great, and I mean, I honestly have no idea what they want for it now, but I mean, I had some really great parts on it and stuff, and it'd make a great platform for somebody to go out and race with it. Like, I mean, I'd love to see the thing back out. So, but I guess time will tell on that one for sure.
Call Firepunk, you can get this.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, you definitely can. Those events, if you've never experienced radial tires, getting to stand behind a screw blown Hemi for the first time on a 315 radial with a 5-speed in it, like that in it, while I already had such a large appreciation for racing and stuff, and I had seen some radial tire stuff, but not a ton, and like just been around it a little bit and here and there. But man, going to SGMP and all those radial races and stuff, like that is like, it's like a home run derby of drag racing. Like, yes. A radial tire, like give it every ounce of power you can possibly and physically give it, and stick or it's not. It's a high stakes gambling for drag racing is how I've always seen it. I mean, besides grudge racing, I know it's a whole nother venue in itself. But that is a hard style of racing that what will top that? I don't know. Like big tire pro mod stuff, like I love it to death. There's just something about, man, that the atmosphere around the radial tire stuff, and like just you look at the contact patch that the tires making to the track, and the rear end's hanging 9 inches out of the bottom, and it's power, it's hanging the front tires through the finish line,
and then they come back
whichever.
down.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's definitely, they do make wheelie control. Highly recommend. But yeah, I mean, we did stuff like that. I mean, just learning, but going through that whole process of figuring that truck out on radials, like that was, I mean, tons of fun in itself. And we had a great team of guys and people that came along with that. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. Like, man, like, yeah, like you can even see, I mean, that's, basically one wheeling in this picture, but like you can see it's got just a little bit of contact patch on it. But man, I mean, you're thinking your typical big tire. I mean, obviously they grow we're going down track, but those radials, man, just, and let's be honest, like and some people probably hate me for saying this, but radial tires just, man, they look better. A radial tire on a fat on a fat double beadlock, like it's a hard look to beat. I'm a big fan.
I would agree with that.
No, it's cool for sure. So, but yeah, that was pretty wild.
Fun to see some of that home run derby stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a blast. That is for sure. I love it. But
man, you are a natural podcaster, right? It's like it's a blink of an eye, and we're already like almost 2 hours in.
Holy moly! I didn't even realize that. We could probably talk for another 5 hours. I think me and Adam can probably talk about welding just for a couple hours in itself,
Yeah.
And then everybody, me and Charles. I know me and you, Charles,
right.
we could get to probably our conversations always go longer than expected per usual. But man,
that's why we enjoy nerding out, and I'm not going to monopolize too much time myself because I get to see you again next week. So.
Yeah, no, I know we're seeing back to back either for sure. Yeah. I know.
I said the same thing in the group chat. Like, I was like, we can have a long fucking conversation right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can. I think we can take this. We can take these conversations for sure for a lot longer. And but like I said, I mean, I greatly appreciate you guys having me on. I love getting to chat. I mean, working by myself now. I don't have a shop of people to talk to, and I'll admit it to my own my own. I guess problem, but man, I love talking to people. Who doesn't? It's
you're a people person, 100%. Like we're not gonna like sugarcoat that at all. You're a people person.
Yeah.
I do got one more question, obviously.
Shoot for my friend.
For myself though.
Yeah.
So I mean, tunes in the shop. What are you listening to? I mean, what are you jamming out to when you're welding and just
let's go. Let's hear it.
Man, we'll get I'm a bit of a mix. I won't lie. Loud in general is my rule of thumb. I mean, man, if it's either complete silence, nothing good, like you can hear a mouse fart, or it is basically your windows are rattling. And that's like I listen to headphones a ton. People hate me for it. Like if anybody I've worked with and they've worked with me, they'll be like, yeah, you just gotta like have a pocket flashlight to shine at them. But genres of music, man, it swings a bunch. I'm a big Linkin Park, like that style of music. In the evenings, I love my country music. I love I love my heartache songs. Like who doesn't?
Absolutely.
And then I like some of the younger generation stuff just for like the beat. It's a little controversial, but some of the Suicide Boys stuff and I mean, I can get into that stuff, but so I listen to that. I listen to a lot of podcasts too. Like Jocko Underground podcast, Tim Kennedy, some of those guys. I mean, you name it. Alex Mosey.
Jocko's some real life heartstrings.
Yeah,
some shit right there.
I listen to everything. I've probably listened to every one of his podcasts. Some of them are, I love them.
Yeah, but like I love the mix because that's honestly like the people that have a one genre, they just I don't know, it's just weird. Honestly,
that
it is like it's a 100%. Like I mean, my podcast or music goes from EDM to like red dirt country.
Yeah, and my Pandora list will go Waylon Jennings, ICP, and then into Slade.
100%. Like
it's funny you say Linkin Park though, because I drove down to Ohio for the clips, and I just put on Linkin Park and the whole way down.
Yeah,
I was
man,
like, dude,
just
bringing back up so much of that stuff, and it just how good it was, and then super cool though. How you say like super quiet or super loud. Mm-hmm. That is like that's me in a T.
Yeah.
You know.
I won't elaborate too much to it, but man, like I work myself up into working. So I'm like, if I'm doing something cool, or if I'm like I'll put on some headbanging stuff or whatever. But like how I'm feeling that day or how I'm feeling or whatever. Like if I'm in a pretty meh mood or whatnot, like what I make is like it shows. If I'm in a good mood and in a jam, like man, like my work's always better. I mean, I'll 100% say that. Michael has taught me the quietness, so I have been doing that a lot more, and I like it too. I just got to watch it because I'm not as level-headed as he is, so my thoughts get rolling too much. A little bit of that ADHD kicking in on that one for sure, but just part of it. So,
for those who don't know, Mike's unofficial nickname is Silent Mike.
Silent Mike, or Ninja. I call him.
Ninja.
I call them other names, but they're not really podcasting for me. Depending on what kind of movie he's in.
Ninjas can't have hair like Mike has.
Nah, man, that dude. The original thing with that, he was gonna cut it when he ran threes, And now it's just like, yeah, man, I'm
yeah, as you say, he can't
letting her out. Yeah,
well,
I don't know.
I did call him and Maddie both out though for like, whoever goes to 200 first has to cut their hair and donate it to Locks of Love.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That's good. We have to throw we have to throw Jared Jones in there too, because old boy gonna be coming out swinging here when he's back out, and yeah, that he might just come and sweep it from both of us. You never know. Yep. So,
but he doesn't have enough hair to donate.
I know. I was thinking, like, do we have to cut like his beard hair off, or like what can we do in that, or like maybe no.
There's precedent for that.
We have, for sure. Yeah, I have to figure something out for him.
I used to have a hell of a long beard, and we raised a hell of a lot of money for cancer, and several years in a row, and the beard was sacrificed.
Yeah,
and Charles's hair. He went to his new legit. He went to his new job with a damn mohawk.
That's going. Yeah. Yeah, I always forget. I always forget that you. I've seen you with a mohawk, and like you said that, I was like, oh wait, I've definitely seen Charles with a mohawk.
I was gonna get rid of it, but I promised that I would keep it on for a week for the funeral.
Yeah.
The thing that annoys me so much is that he made it work.
Hey, some people can just rock that stuff.
So obnoxious.
Like the rest.
I look like I had 7 chins once I shaved my beard. Like literally 7 chins, and he gets half of his, 3/4 of his hair cut off, and
that's awesome.
He still manages to look like a stud.
Yeah, there you go.
I wear a hat 99% of the time. I'm not even gonna lie. I looked at myself in the camera and I'm like, I probably should put a hat back on, but I've had my weld hood on all freaking day. My head's honestly kind of hurting. So I took it off side to side. I was like, I'll look a little homeless for the for the camera, but now ain't nothing.
You got like a hair comment earlier, like way earlier.
Did I really?
Yeah, there was one.
Man, that's impressive that I got a hair comment, because if it is. I just saw it.
Go ahead, Charles.
I
mean, consider the source.
Yeah,
consider the source. He's going to troll you with that.
100%. 100%. Yeah, no, without a doubt. But you know what? I'll take it for what it is. I'll accept it as a compliment, and we'll go on from there. But yeah,
you know what the funny comment was? Linkin Park Jay-Z.
There's
that collaboration. Like
that came up by my drive.
That I remember buying that CD, CD, not not a fucking like MP3 or whatever download, but CD.
I still have that CD.
I talk as if that's so ancient, Cody.
It is, because
it is not. Shut your mouth.
It's not.
I'm telling you, but
I sort of regret the decision. But the last time I moved, I actually threw all my CDs out.
That guy over there is the youngest one of all of us. And Linkin Park Jay-Z, that is the youngest.
Oh man. Yeah. I could probably recite all the songs. I mean, probably all of them, to be honest.
Right?
I mean, I listened to that entire album probably, man, at least multiple times a week. I mean, without a doubt. Just like there's some songs in it, man, that I'm just like, I love them. Like Castle of Glass, man, or Encore, or Numb, or any of those. Like, dude, I mean, those things are just my damn. Like, I can listen. I'm a big repeat listener, so like I'll pick one song. Some people think I'm just psychotic for it, but I'll listen to one song for 5 hours. So yeah, it's but it is what it is. So, but cool.
That was a good album. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of the greats. That's for sure. So. Yeah. But yeah, man. Cool.
FYI, if anybody has the if anybody uses iTunes or Apple Music instead of Spotify, the Mike Shinoda playlist,
yeah, that's good too.
That slays.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, we'll definitely have to. I'll have to give that a listen. I'm going to be listening to a lot of music. I think, Jared's. We still got a lot of weld over here to do for the next couple of days. So I'm going to listen to a lot of music. But yeah, no, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Shared playlist is back. So like, if you have a person that you are like same level of media, shared playlist is back. It's phenomenal.
Wow. That's awesome. I did not know that. It's cool.
Yeah.
Crap, That reminds me, you sent me a link to something, didn't you?
Absolutely. You're a dick and didn't add anything to it.
You're right. I am, and I will 100% own that. And I still don't know if I'm going to add anything to it, but I'll own it.
Yeah.
Well, then when we get in the car, like it's all my shit. It's not yours. I'm just saying because
God, we're gonna have to listen to the Golden Girls playlist again, aren't we?
I got some girly songs for sure that people will be like, "Are you okay?" Like Unwritten by Natasha. I forget her last name or whatever. It's
Natasha Bedingfield.
Yeah. That song.
That's good.
Hey, that song.
That's reaching back a little bit.
Yeah, it's a jam. It's a jam. It's an OG, and it's just like if I'm in a terrible mood, just throw it on, listen to it once or twice, and it's like, yeah, it's a little out there, but hey, you know what? Everybody's got a couple songs like that, and if they say they don't, they're definitely lying.
I throw on some Dream Theater, and I'm all happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Taylor Swift, Haunted. That's another one.
Man, I could listen to Teardrops on my guitar. Yeah, we're going down a rabbit hole. I don't think the people are ready for it, to be honest.
You aren't ready for this.
I wasn't ready for it.
This is great, though.
That's old Taylor Swift, though. That's not new Taylor Swift. Yeah. We're not going to venture into that at all. Some of the like the first album or two, man, she was the one, like she was the girl in country music. It's like, yeah, like who doesn't love Taylor Swift? But
yeah,
now the dynamic has changed quite a bit. I would tend to say. So,
but
we don't know.
That's what makes it fun. It's sidetrack. It's
that is for sure.
It's whatever we call it, and that's.
Yep.
I don't know.
Now I just change the station every time Beyonce comes on my country radio.
Amen. Preach. Say it louder for the people in the back and the tone-deaf idiots.
That problem's very easily solved. Don't listen to country radio.
I don't know. As a single guy, there's a lot of fun stuff on TikTok to watch that too. So just,
I mean, if she's singing single ladies, that's one thing. But country radio, negative.
Negatory.
For sure. All
right. So what else? Okay, I got to stretch this out a little bit longer. What else is on the Guilty Pleasures playlist that you don't want anybody to know about?
Man,
this is going to be like a new thing for all of our guests, isn't it?
100%.
I think this is cool.
Man, I don't know if some people even want to know what that is for me, but it's nothing terrible. But like, I won't even lie. There is like Sugarland, like Already Gone, and some of those in that album. Or man, what's the? I have like I can sing these songs.
We won't ask you to
in
do
my
that.
head, but I'm trying. No, we're definitely not. We'll definitely take a rain check on that one. But
you can start singing, and we will try and guess. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you name it. I mean, when it comes to some, like, if the feelings are, up in the air at the moment, I mean, especially in the evening, late in the shop, like kind of just like hanging around or whatever. I mean, man, you give me some, I mean, just give me some Carrie Underwood, Taylor Swift. I mean, Sugarland, like some of her songs, I mean, freaking, they're awesome. But yeah, I don't really venture out, I guess, as far as like songs that it's just like, out of nowhere, but like, the Unwritten one, like that's Unwritten, that's one for sure. Mr. Mom, I can listen to that song on repeat. And then there's Suds in the Bucket, Sarah Evans. Oh my! Like you want to talk about? You want to talk about a song? You want to talk about a song to listen to while you're driving with the windows down in the summer, like traveling or whatnot, like that. On repeat, or trying to think of some other ones that would just catch people off guard. I'm probably telling people too much. I probably already said enough. People are probably like, "Man, all right, my opinion switched on the guy," but I don't know. I think that kind of covers majority of them. I listen to a good bit of like I just listen to like some slower songs for sure, like more of those in your feel songs, I guess, but like nothing, I guess, out of left field. But yeah, I mean, I listen to some Co Wetzel for sure. I mean, some of the newer stuff, But man, some like Alan Jackson, some back in the day, like Drive by Alan Jackson.
Yeah. That's a great song.
No, sorry, redo comment. Man, yeah, like there's like, I don't get
awesome.
Kyle, only if you go first. We know this guy.
Man,
we know this guy, and he will sing.
I can't like I've never done karaoke. I refuse almost, but you know,
I'll sit behind a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. You're not wrong. But yeah, I mean, as far as like even like rap songs from girls or like just some AWOL stuff, like not really. I mean, I think as far as like outside of like typical genre, like and I know like there's some discrepancy over like, you know, their you know, persona that they like, you know, give out, but like that Suicide Boy stuff, like just some of their like, you know, the beats and the rhymes that they have, like, man, like for working, that stuff is golden to get some work done. But I mean, that's about the only kind of like out of left field stuff. Like I'll listen to some rap music, you know, but it just kind of depends on the mood. Like I said, I mean, you know, I'll switch. You know, I have certain little chunks in each genre that like I kind of listen to. So,
same.
And you know, depending on the mood, like I said, I mean, you know, that's kind of about where I'm at as far as you know, the genre switching, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like Sugarland though. If you want my like, that's like those ones will get me, man. I like those ones. But yeah. Teardrops on my guitar though. I could, if there's a karaoke song out there that I would have to, like, if I had to do it, like, I'd probably get a 10 out of 10 on, to be honest. But
what of those you have to be word
in
for
mind.
word.
Write that down somewhere.
And do what?
I was telling all your ODSS people and your customers, write that shit down.
Yeah, they probably will.
Lauren,
yeah,
you guys get rained out events. Karaoke will ensue.
I don't know. I would be
Make
more.
a note.
If my ass has to get up there and do karaoke, I know one thing for certain: Mr. Cordova is going to get up there and do it with me, and the chances of that happening are probably 0. But
what's his song? Know. If we're going to weaponize songs, what song are you picking for him to sing?
I'll be 100% honest in this, and this is 100% honesty. So for the first probably year and a half that I knew Michael, we never once listened to music in the shop. He no BS, never did. And then like here recent, like he likes the same kind of music I listen to, but we just don't talk a lot about music. Like when we're working together, 99% of the time, like it is like we're silent. It's a real thing. Like I don't even know what I would pick for him.
I think he would knock the race car off the Projects on purpose to injure himself to get out of it.
Oh, 100%, without a doubt. But I don't even know. We've listened to so little music around each other that I really don't. I don't know.
Dude has so much rock and roll hair, though.
I know.
We should be able to. Okay, we're going to crowdsource this. So between the 5 of us and some of the other folks who know him, what's he gonna sing?
Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Always a perennial good one.
I would say it's something more along the lines of Linkin Park.
Yeah, that's what I was. I mean, because we've listened to Linkin Park before in the shop and stuff.
Yeah, but why
I
not
picked
throw
the Bee Gees because I want to hear Michael sing falsetto.
I was going to say, why not throw him way the F off his game?
Yeah.
How about we do Love Shack by the B-52s.
There you go.
And make him sing the backup.
There you go.
Like if he's gonna pick like Linkin Park Encore, or like
he could sing that. I guarantee he knows that song for sure.
He's gonna sing Tequila. That's it.
That'd be good. I wonder, man. He could probably sing some like Blink 182 stuff, like I don't know, something like that. I would honor that is genuinely a difficult one. Singing that while I heard that song.
It would help, right?
It probably would.
You don't have to have it happen, but it helps.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is for sure. There's a lot of those circumstances that is for sure.
God, we really have gone down a real hell of a rabbit hole here.
Oh, that is for sure. I know.
Well, I'm
Jared's
just
probably gonna
saying because I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Welders are a strange breed, man. So
Yeah.
I just figured it would be a good one to come up with because I knew we'd be great, you know. So.
Yeah, I mean because like I mean it is. I mean, yeah, you're 100% right, Adam. Like, I mean, you do this stuff. I mean, in any aspect of it, like me and Andre Dusek, or he's gonna kill me for mispronouncing his last name.
I'm gonna find out that I've been saying it wrong for like 4 years.
I know. I say it wrong all the time. But as I'm sitting in his computer area in Jared's trailer, but I was just Snapchatting before this. But we're like, man, like to be in this industry or to be like in this space. I mean, man, you gotta be a little bit different. You're not the average run of the mill person. And I think it's awesome. Like, I think find that niche and like, love it so much you like, let it kill you almost. I mean, not literally, but the context I mean that in. But it's I mean, I think you're 100% right on that. Like, we're definitely a little bit of a different different genre of person, I guess is a good way to say that. So
oh yeah.
No, for sure. It's something I wouldn't trade. I know that, but definitely takes a toll on your body, though. That is for sure. I know, Adam. I know you can attest to that as well, my friend. I know we've talked about that for sure.
Oh
so
yeah.
It's but I don't know. It's definitely something I wouldn't trade. That is for sure. So sink or swim. That's what we're going to be doing for quite a while from here on out, I guess. So I look forward to everything, to all of it. I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, I think that's just where I'm at with it. It's taken me to every, all these different walks of life as it is already. So, what's to say that, I mean, wear it. I mean, I go to, about wherever in the world and do similar things. And like, that's the cool part of it. It's not like it's a US based thing. It's not like it's just a, small niche. Like, man, I can, I can work on about any of them. So, I think that's
I've often said that it's a kind of a way of saying that the racing across everything has been very rewarding and very good to me in the sense that I can go most places in the Northern Hemisphere, really. And if I need a place to crash for the night, I can pick up the phone and get one.
100%. Wow. 100%.
Canada. Go.
Yeah.
Neighbor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, are you at, or what? I'm sorry. What were you asking me, Ryan? Were you asking me a question as far as who I would pick in Canada?
I was throwing Charles to the wolves.
Yeah.
I can tell you guys have been friends for a long time. I love that.
A very long time.
Just a minute.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He will repay the favor when it's least convenient for me.
Oh yeah, that's what friends are for. You know,
Uh-huh.
they always got when you're down and when you're thinking hard, just kick them again a little bit. You just need to a little bit of a nudge.
Square in the nuts if you can.
Exactly, that is the beauty of it for sure. But yeah,
my favorite get back at people moment is when I'm at the controls of amplified sound with a booth door that I can lock.
Yeah, I couldn't be in charge of that. That is for sure.
Crap, I'm really screwed when you actually have that. With me.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
That's
My favorite comment is, "Did you forget I hate you?" At that point,
awesome.
we're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we really appreciate you coming on because it's been a lot of fun.
It's been a great time for sure. I love this. This is I do it every week. This is awesome.
You got a standing invite, man. Anytime you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when you get done with Jared's Cadillac, like if you want to showcase that, like we are happy to showcase that because that thing is we're at a couple hours in, it makes my dick hard. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
It's
Oh, Jesus. Did he really say that out loud?
Yeah,
He did, didn't he?
Really, really
I'm not
fast, but like it happened.
Oh yeah, I mean, like when I described how they sound earlier when we were talking about like exhaust tones and all that kind of stuff, like I have used some very vulgar terms on how it makes me feel when I hear them. But, you know, that's the nature of it. You know, you gotta love what you do or love what you build. So like, I mean, it does. It's just like,
in gym class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm not kidding when I said like I showed people the video today that like have no idea of like drag racing at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you have to listen to this thing because like it is precious.
Crazy. Yeah, and I guess just to a little bit of a plug or whatnot. I'm sure Charles, you've probably mentioned it, but for Rudy's at Rockingham or Diesel's on the Rock, did I butcher the overall name of it? Anyway, Rockingham Dragway, North Carolina. Jared's gonna have he'll have Frosty and the Cadillac there because the following week is a points race for Radio Outlaw. So and then on Friday night they're doing a radio race. While all the Diesel guys can be around. So it's gonna be it should be a killer of an event to be at. So for people watching, listening, or gonna watch or whichever. Definitely not going to be one you're going to want to miss. That's for sure. There's going to be some killers there for sure, and it's going to be a good time. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. So
Charles,
and
fun track to go to, and pray to God it doesn't rain.
Charles, is this the point at which you make mention of KTR Motorsports?
Yeah,
I saw that, by the way, Charles.
There's some guy who lives in Georgia who likes to talk a lot of shit, and I'm trying to get him to show up for the gas versus diesel shootout. Put that car in some 28 10.5s and
it'd be awesome.
Yeah,
got 100 on a shatter.
Yeah, it'd be an absolute blast if he did it. I don't know if he will.
Yeah, man, it's if he does or doesn't, either which way. I mean, just for what it's worth. I mean, what that man alone has regard his antics as far as his shit talking and stirring the pot. I mean. Love it or hate it, it is absolutely bar none great for the sport. I mean, what they have done with that program and Doug Cook from Motion and all his entire team, Phil Schiller and all those guys, like, man, they have you want to talk about talking the talk and walking the walk. Like, I mean, if to be 100% honest, they were this close to winning World Series of Pro Mod the following weekend. I think it was the following weekend. Yeah. And you go from a 315 radial from the first time out, you have it on the track, then do a big tire on the following weekend and almost win the largest pro mod race in the country. Like, man, you can't he talks it. Love him or hate him, I love him. I mean, he is a ball to watch. If anybody gets a chance to watch him, go watch that car on the starting line and it'll change your perspective on drag racing. Go watch their guys work in the pits and you'll say the same thing. You'll be like, oh my Lord. It's crazy. It's pushes me for sure. 100%. It's awesome. It'd be crazy to see him come out. It'd be cool for sure. So
he's got incentive to do it because I mean he'll be on in RVW back at the Rock the next week. So
yep. I think some of it would pertain if they're radio outlaws that can't test on a track within. Forget the exact rule. They're not within I think it's a 1 week prior or whatever it is. They can't test in a certain radius of the track they're racing at. So I know Frosty will race on Friday night, but the Cadillac won't because it's in Pro 275 points. So. Just for some a little bit of clarity.
There's no time I think at Battle of the Thrones it was an add-on class. It's not a points class.
Exactly. That's why the truck will run Battle of Thrones in no time truck. So and some of that stuff that's just kind of how it works and just how it is. So, but pretty cool nonetheless. It'll be a good opportunity for a bunch of people to just see a bunch of cars that they don't get to see all the time.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. Like to get a little sleep in between here and there, but it's neither here nor there. So
let's go.
Thank you.
Bring it.
Yeah,
let's go with that. It's almost 10 o'clock. You still haven't eaten anything for dinner.
Yeah, and my
water
dinner
arrived yet?
It did. It has. It's been sitting out there. It's definitely cold by now, but hey, it's besides.
So damn it! Gentlemen, can we let this man go so he can eat?
Yeah.
From the fat guy in the room, please.
I'm gonna have to get back to work here before long. Jared's probably gonna be like, "Hey, I told him I was like, I think it'll probably take us an hour." Like, I have no idea, to be honest. I was like, "Hey, I don't think it ain't nothing but a thing. I'll just
sorry, Jared.
We'll work through it now."
If it makes you feel any better, I've started Uber Eats like 4 times in this whole thing. And
trying to be like, oh yeah, trying to gauge it. Yeah, it's just part of it.
I'm like, oh wait.
But when you got,
thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for coming on. That's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun, and
like
the weld porn.
Well, I appreciate it very much, man. No,
it took 2 hours and 20 minutes for that statement to be uttered.
That's impressive. I will be that guy.
Good for you.
He's like, yes.
No, but from all you guys, towards all you guys, genuinely, thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys. It's like we've known each other we have known each other for years in some cases and whatnot. But thank you a bunch for letting me come on and talk and BS and shoot the shit and just have a good time and talk motorsports and racing and welding and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I'm dead serious, man. Standing invite. I'm dead serious. So anytime
so before you go, company and social media handles.
If anybody's
pimp your socials.
If anybody's looking to find me, pretty easy to get a hold of for the most part. Obviously, some extent only one person can answer so much, but Instagram is going to be 1X Precision Welding. Code. Jesus, my Instagram handle. Cody _1X Precision. And then blew past my mind. Website's 1xprecisionwelding.com. Facebook, obviously, Cody Fisher. There's links on the website if you guys if you guys are interested in getting some builds done, all that kind of stuff, just feel free to reach out and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And that's pretty much where you can find me. Or you can find me racing or shooting guns. It's just kind of what I'm like. We're racing or we're shooting, or that's about it. That's where you'll find me at. Yeah, for sure. But
we appreciate you
100%
coming on because it's been a lot of fun for the last couple hours.
I've had it all.
And it everything from where you started, where you've been, and where you're going. It's been a lot of fun. So
be huge.
All right. Good night, everybody. See ya.
See you guys.